Welcome to Just Curious Media. This is Zen Dog Training. I'm Jason Connell.
And I'm Gordon Fontaine.
All right, Gordon. I'm excited to be back with another exciting episode of Zen Dog Training, a podcast dedicated to sharing Zen Dog Training's approach to training people and the dogs they love. And I know today's super special because, Gordon, you're going to tell us a secret, or the secret.
Of Zen Dog Training, absolutely. I love having a secret to Zen Dog Training. And it really is that as an owner, as a dog owner, as a trainer, the secret to training is to control your dog and the environment they're in to ensure that training and learning happens on your terms. That's the secret.
Wow. Now, that's big. We're releasing secrets here on Zen Dog Training Podcast. And that's incredibly well put. I know we're going to have some evidence to support this or tell people how to do this exactly, but I like how you boiled it down to just that. So control your dog in the environment to ensure learning happens on your terms. The dog owner, carer, lover, to what? To imprint on the dog's mind, oh, this is how it works.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it really boils down to truly understanding how your dogs learn.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is dogs, like we talked about this in previous episodes, dogs don't care about the words you use. They care about actions, consequences. They learn by trial and error.
Yeah, that's true. Repetitions. I grew up an athlete, and you got to put
Yes.
those 10,000 hours in, back to Malcolm Gladwell. But you really do. And with dogs, I'm sure kids, I don't have kids yet, so I've raised dogs. And you're right. It's like practice, 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 and they'll finally get it. But that's not just the sit, stay. It's anything, any behavior. You have to be present.
Exactly. And I think the reason why it's so difficult is in some ways, dogs learn exactly like we do. They learn based on what they get away with, just like we do. But they learn differently in that they're not verbal. They're so action oriented, and we're so verbal oriented. So we want to depend on muffin, no. And the words mean nothing. The dog's just like, oh, dad's talking, love this guy.
Yeah. Are they picking up on your action in that regard? If it's like, hey, no, is that what they see more than
that's what I'm saying. There's the lack of action. You're just yelling.
But if they get up and they're like right in the dog's face and they see their presence, is that what you would encourage?
No, I would suggest that might be pushing towards that anger stuff.
Right. Okay.
And so what I'm saying is like gently grabbing your dog, pulling him out of the room, or even as simple as having a treats on your walks helps you ensure that the dog learns the right lesson, that you're not just talking and they're just ignoring you or not understanding.
Yeah. It's more of a incredibly positive approach. You're doing this wrong. Well, here, let's get you back in line. Let's do this, as opposed to scolding them for the bad. Reset them and show them good behavior. This is the path you want to take.
Right. And then when it comes to interrupting unwanted behaviors, instead of scolding or getting angry or using a correction-based training, I recommend gently physically stopping the dog, again, without triggering the fight-flight response, without using negative reinforcement, just gently removing and guiding your dog, as opposed to getting angry or scolding, which is such a natural human tendency to do that.
So can you give us an example, like when you go work with people in real life, which you do? You've done thousands upon thousands of hours in homes and on walks and wherever people need you. But yeah, what's an example if you're working with someone who's set the wrong behavior? You're resetting the person, first of all, right?
Yes.
And they're probably seeing immediate results in this approach.
A lot of times they see immediate results. And so it is kind of humorous here. For many years, I had this comic book guide and I had titled it Tools and Equipment. And, people didn't really click.
Yeah.
And so it became kind of a joke that when we changed the title to The Secret to Zen Dog Training.
Oh,
right. And now people are like, show me the secret. And it's still just the right tools and equipment.
It's just tools and equipment. What?
So what I mean by that is if you don't bring treats on a walk, for example, and your dog gets spooked or your dog's trying to eat goose poop, then you're just stuck in the interrupt no method. When instead you could teach your dog that paying attention to you, looking at you, focusing on you is glorious. There's where all the rewards come, but only if you remembered the treats.
I have been that guy before, Gordon, where I was on a walk and my dog was going for the goose poop, but I didn't have treats. However, I would distract and say, oh, let's run. Let's do this together. He was on leash. And so I would just try to like reset their mind and focus back on me.
And if you have a brand new puppy, it almost irritates me to hear these people like, oh, he's eating everything on the walk. They're not bringing treats
Yeah.
on the walk. And they're still feeding him as much as the dog wants at home. So take that food, bring it with you on a walk.
Yeah.
And then you just like, hey, Muffet, look at me. Yes, what a good boy or girl. And then treat, treat, treat. And then before you know it, instead of searching the ground for scraps, your dog thinks they're in this habit of checking in with you on the walk. And we're just talking about
Nice.
one tool.
Yeah.
Treats
Right.
on walks, let alone the indoor leash, the collar. We can get to this later, but the collar is essential when you're stopping unwanted behavior.
And you've mentioned treats a few times, like on walks. So I'm assuming you see this a lot, in your in-person training. Like, okay, we're going to go take a Muffin. Let's just keep using Muffin as an example. And do you see them go on a walk and not bring the treats? You're like, no, 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 bring the treats and just reset the owner to be better equipped.
Yeah, I always, when I go to a visit, not only have one, I have usually 3 different kinds of treats in my treat bag.
High
Tricky.
value and mid value.
Yeah, exactly. And we can get into the science of that, but every time I reach into the bag, it's a different treat and there's some variable reinforcement that
Nice.
happens there because the dog doesn't know what he's getting.
Yeah.
But I digress. The point is that they usually don't, they're like, oh, I didn't bring treats. I'm like, don't worry, I did.
Yes.
But the dog is looking at me and enjoying it. He's loving it. The walk turns into this like super fun game where he, instead of trying to eat stuff off the ground, he's constantly looking at me
you.
for
Yeah.
feedback and input. And I'm like, what a good boy. And I'm using those treats as rewards, not bribes that we've talked about before by having a strong yes marker.
And, I've raised a few dogs in my life. I don't have the exposure that you've had, but I also know that sometimes you do leave unprepared. You're walking your dog all the time, especially as I move to the East Coast and you're more worried about the proper garments and warmth and maybe an umbrella. And you're like, oh, I didn't bring treats. So we've all been there. So what do you advise an owner to do if they didn't properly prepare themselves with treats? Can they do what I spoke about earlier? Like just keep them distracted, keep them focused on you. And are there other ways?
Of course. And looking at you, dogs love attention and your feedback, and that's awesome. But I do recommend, like every once in a while, I'll go downstairs and be like, you know what? I'm going to go back upstairs, grab a bag of treats because it's easier, even though it's an extra flight of stairs. But you bring up a fantastic point about gear and equipment.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here in New England and have some pity or think about the poor dog that doesn't get enough exercise because the owner doesn't have the right clothes. Your dog's dying for exercise. You got this sort of athlete dog. Maybe it's a working breed. And you go outside in your t-shirt and cotton hoodie and you're like, oh, it's raining and cold.
Yeah.
You should see the jackets I wear. Get a jacket. It's waterproof, scratch-proof, down with a hoodie. So I can be out there, your boots, lined jeans with fleece. So I can walk all day.
The dogs can take it. They're ready for it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I put jackets on my dog. I have a little dog. She gets cold.
Sure.
She gets a fleece.
Sure.
She gets a waterproof coat. And we can walk for hours.
Yeah.
But so many dogs don't get the right exercise and enrichment just because the owner doesn't have a big coat.
That's right.
It's crazy.
That is crazy. You need like a whole line of Zen Dog Training gear for the owners and the climate and the wetter and colder climates. You also need like fanny packs for lots of treats.
I used to have a fanny pack. I usually just put a Ziploc bag with some treats in my pocket and just make sure it's in my jacket.
Well, what we talked about before we started recording was the fact that this secret is common knowledge. It's hidden in plain sight, but man, it's so effective.
Agreed. That's why, if you want the best bang for your buck, bring the treats. I would talk about having that drag line inside the house and getting into what the secrets mean with a puppy who starts to nip. The owner's like, what do you do? And they say, oh, I turn my back. I do shunishment. First, I teach clients to control their dog and not be a jerk about it.
Yeah.
I might even call the puppy to me in the other room. Puppy's nipping your partner or a child. I say, Muffin, get over here. Yes, what a good girl. She gets treats.
Yep.
And then at that moment, I clip the indoor leash on.
Yeah.
And in doing so, I now have a handle, a leash I can grab and walk the dog into the other room, step on it. I can prevent the dog from going after the child or your partner. I can gently interrupt without being mean.
Yeah.
All because I put this $2 leash on their collar.
And not like a slip lead that chokes a dog, which you see at a lot of places, but please continue.
No, this is awesome. You brought this up, Jason, because it actually is one of those things that I'm pretty passionate about. A lot of shelters will give people a slip lead to walk their dog with. That slip lead is literally choking the dog on a walk.
Yeah.
I had a lady, she said she's using a slip lead. She looks right around the corner. And she said the entire walk, she feels like she's choking the dog. Because she is. She really is choking the dog, all because she's not using a front clip harness
Yep.
or a harness at all. She's using that slip lead. And it's just a bummer for that dog that's getting choked on the walks in the sake of training.
Well, let's go back 12 years ago when I still thought a super high industrial pinch collar was the way to go. And I had big, strong working dogs, and they would still push it. And I would feel guilty, just come on, buddy. But I was taught that's the way. Now, eventually we got away from that and they were well trained. But there was that year or so of using that I feel terrible now. But I didn't know.
Agreed. I think the big component of Zen Dog training is identifying that we are going to choose these methods that are more peaceful.
Yes.
And they might take some work here. It's not going to, a prong collar can just hurt your dog into walking with you. But we choose these methods that are peaceful and gentle, and they get the same results, even with maybe less side effects.
Yeah. So what is a memorable story you could share about when you went to someone, put this secret on them, and they got immediate results, even without you around? I'm sure you have some sort of testimonial or somebody you're like, are they going to get this? And they did, and they're winning from it. They have a more Zen household now.
I think every puppy class I run, and I run 2 a week, I teach how to take your puppy by the collar and remove them from nipping.
Nice.
We call it taking him out of the pack. And I have someone who follows through, and they're like, the play biting went away in literally 24 hours. Okay, let me just say 48 hours.
Wow.
2 days, 3 days later, the puppy is not play biting anymore.
That's great.
And for listeners, they might have an adult dog who's still nipping.
Yeah. Yeah. When you go to someone's house, you don't know their dog and they still have that in them because it was never removed. Yeah, it's kind of scary.
Even just a playful nip from a big dog, and they nip you and you're like, oh, he's playing.
Yeah, he's playing.
Like,
well, maybe we should play that. Yeah.
Right. You're like, The thing, that's why it's a secret. If you grab your dog with the fur and you hold their nose, you say no bite, or you touch their fur or push them down, that touch is intrinsically a reward.
Yes.
They love you. They love being touched.
Yeah.
So your intervention technique is accidentally rewarding the dog when the collar, the leash, the indoor leash can make it so that you can just pull them and steer them away without adding any additional attention.
That's fascinating, Gordon. And that is definitely on the science side of things. So if you go to touch a dog from doing something wrong, they're taking that in as a positive reinforcement.
They love you.
That's
You're
amazing.
like, oh, they're even holding their nose shut and being like, no. They're just like, love this guy, always talking angry to me.
Wow.
Versus, like we said, we take them out of the pack, you interrupt them, and it's a much clearer signal. And that's why it's the secret.
Yep.
So you get those little pieces in your training, and all of a sudden you get to see results pretty quickly.
Well, this has been amazing. I'm so happy that we're here sharing secrets, the secret, on Zen Dog Training Podcast. Now, I know in a previous episode, we were setting the stage of what's to come. And I know there's a second secret. We're not going to talk about it, Gordon, but when will we announce that secret?
Creating teachable moments is definitely the overarching big secret to our training, the second part. But I would like to go through the training options in a little bit more depth before we talk about how to create teachable moments where you drill each lesson.
I also know we have 5 methods. So there's a lot of science behind Zen Dog Training. You've had, are we at 20 years yet? You're still at 19 years?
19.
You're almost there. 19. You're on the verge. This is great. So yeah, you have time to see this unfold, to practice on thousands and thousands of dogs and owners, of course, to create a wonderful Zen household. This has been amazing, Gordon. Anything else you want to leave our fans with before we wrap up this episode?
No, I feel like this is a really fun way to discuss and cover the Zen Dog Training secrets.
Great. Well, this has been a lot of fun. Please be sure to go to zendogtraining.net. The website is loaded with great stuff, a lot of free stuff, a lot of takeaways, videos, and the podcast is on there as well. And check out justcuriousmedia.com for all the other podcasts that we do. And Gordon, until next time, this has been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a blast.